Quick reminder of the rules, as always: 5 group of dives for 5 dives for each lady stepping on the board. The order is listed as they want. They can put whatever order they want as long as they show 1 dive per group of dives. Last year, Chiara Pelacani won, as I said before. She's the reigning champion, and Michelle Einberg from Switzerland was second. Chiara won with 318 points. In diving, anything can happen. Great dives that could bump up your scores very high, but also big mistakes that could take away a sure medal. Here we are. Let's start these 5 rounds of dives. First up on the board is Rocio Velasquez from Madrid, Spain. She already got a medal here in Sheshov on the first day of diving in the team event. She got a bronze medal with her teammates. Inward, 2.5 somersault pike for her to start off the final. Very well executed. A nice dive for the Spanish diver. Does a good job lining that up. She does a very good lineup, and she's perfectly vertical in the M3. Her jump goes towards the left of the board a little bit. Not very high, but exactly what she wanted in the M3. Could have jumped higher probably to get better scores. The judges give her a total of 58.50, just like this morning, same exact score. Elna now from Sweden, Elna Widerström. Same dive as Rocio, but in a tuck position. We'll see many inwards in the first round. At least 6 divers will start. The first 6 divers will start with this dive, either tuck or pike. And Elna gets a very good top. Very, very good jump off the springboard. Unfortunately for her, she does not control the somersault and ends up going too far over. You see it here. She finishes the dive very high above the 3-meter springboard and lines up incorrectly over. You see here the legs go past the vertical line. It's not the same good start as she did this morning. 44.55, 10 points less than this morning where she got 54. Same dive for Elle Tuxen. Elle was in the final also last year. She finished in 11th place last year in this event in Rome. It's a good dive, better than Elna before her. We saw though a little movement with her right foot here. We see how the right foot is ahead in front of the left one. She jumps also towards the left of the springboard, but overall somewhat vertical, not too bad to start off a final. Nice lineup, just tilted a little bit to the left, but she gets 6.5 and 7s from the judges. 54 points for her. Medellin now from Lausanne, Switzerland. Another inward 2.5 somersault. In this case, just like Spanish diver Rocio, she is doing it in a pike position. 3.0 degree of difficulty for her. 57 points this morning on this dive. Nicely done. Very similar to the Spanish diver that started off this competition. Not very high. Probably this one in particular is also more distant from the board, but not bad overall. She manages to get all the way vertical, but doesn't grab her hands, so the entry is not perfect. And exactly like Rocio Velasquez, she's at 58.50 with 6.5 from the judges. And we hear the German team screaming very loudly for their teammate Lena Henschel, who got up on the board right now for the exact same dive. Inward 2.5 somersault pike once again. Lena has been bronze medalist in Tokyo 2020, but in the synchronized 3-meter event with Tina Punzel. And she does a great job with her inward 2.5 somersault pike. Very well executed, nice lineup. The entry is clean, not many splashes. She does a very good job with this dive. Much better than what she has done this morning for sure. She got 52 points in the morning. Here you can see how clean that entry is, perfectly vertical. And 7s and 7.5s from the judges, 66 points. She jumps ahead of everyone else in first place. Her teammate with the same exact dive, Saskia Ottinghaus. Last year she did not compete in the final in this event. She was a 14th in prelims, so she did not move on to the next round of the competition. And she does not start very well her competition. Way too far past the vertical line in the entry. She had a good top, very strong jump. The pike position is perfectly squeezed, but she comes out of the pike position too slow and too late. She over-rotates. 5s and 5.5 from the judges. She gets in 5th place at the moment with 46.50. From Sweden now, Emilia Nilsson-Garip. Different dive now, the back 2.5 somersault pike for Emilia. Emilia, just a couple of days ago, she got a bronze medal in the mixed 3-meter synchro final. And she's here trying to get a second medal today. Nice back 2.5 somersault pike. Very well executed. In particular, I really like the way she gets in the pike position and squeezes a very, very sharp pike position. Nice lineup. She grabs very well her hands and the entry is clean. Good job. And 7s, 7.5s from the judges, multiplied by the 3.0 degree of difficulty. That gives you 66 points. That gives her 66 points. And she's in front of everyone, same score as Lena Henschel. Claire Cryan now. First hurdle of the competition, a forward 2.5 somersault with a full twist in a pike position. Once again, a 3.0 degree of difficulty. She does a very good job with this dive. This morning she did an amazing job with it. She got 63 points in the morning, so 7s for her, that would be. In this case, she was all the way to the right, so this dive did not go as high as she did this morning, but the entry is wonderful. Very, very well executed in the air. And just like this morning, the judges agree, all 7s for her. And 63 points, just like in the preliminary round. She is in second place right now. Dajarne, 18 years old, diver from the Great Britain. She's showing the same dive as Claire before her. A much, much higher jump off the board than Claire. She did not struggle on the hurdle. Very high, good twisting, but then compared to the Irish diver before her, she lets the legs go too far over, and that is not what she wanted. Still a very, very good dive. This could have scored even more if she would have lined up perfectly. 60 points for her, 6.5 and 7. And she sits in 4th place. And now Michelle Heimberg, inward 2.5 somersault pike. A lot of time trying to focus for this dive for her. And good job. Not perfect. This dive was too far from the board. She moved her hips backwards before extending her knees to jump. This causes the dive to go far away from the board, and we see her getting straight at the very last second of the dive. Still vertical, probably could have gone better for her, but 7s and 6.5, 61.5 points. She might have lost 4 or 5 points on this dive. Chiara Pelacani now a back 2.5 somersault pike for the Italian diver from Rome. Again, a 3.0 degree of difficulty, 54 points for her in the morning on this dive. Nicely done, very well executed, better than the morning when she went over, slightly over. Now she does a great job getting vertical and a nice rip. The pike position is not very sharp. She could have done a better job with those legs, get them with the knees, get them straight. But a good job overall, especially considering it's a backward rotation, which sometimes gets tricky for the divers. 7s from the judges, 63 points, much better than the morning. And now Grace Reed on the board. She was 8th last year in this event, and she struggled last year with the reverse 2.5 somersault pike and the front 3.5 somersault. That's why she fell back in the rankings. She's here aiming for gold for sure today, and we see that here on the forward 2.5 somersault full twist. Very well executed. Very nice. Technique is perfect. Arms up at the end of the board after the circular, and she comes out of the twist perfectly squared, and a great rip. This is the best dive of round number 1, and she jumps ahead of everyone with a couple of 8s and a 7.5 from the judges. 70.50, and she's in first. Very focused. Here we have the standings. So Grace is in first, Lena in second at the same score as Emilia, and all the others follow up. Nice looking first round of dives. And we start the second one with Rocio Velasquez, a forward 3.5 somersault pike. Oh, very good. Very good by the Spanish diver. She was 19th last year in this event, did not make it to the final, but here, not only she made it to the final, she's actually doing very well also. Too bad she did not grab her hands getting in the water. That would have given her 7.5s probably with a clean entry. 6.5s here, well, not just, but 6.5 for her. 60 points, and a very good job. She scored 54 in the morning and 60 here, so improvement is always good. Elna now from Sweden, a forward 3.5 somersault tuck. She was in last place after the first round of dives. Bad hurdle for her, but recovers very well. The hurdle was completely to the left side of the board and off rhythm. You'll see it here. You can see it here how she's on the corner, almost twisted to the left, but then she squeezes the tuck position and actually ends up going over. Probably was overthinking there and thought that not having a great jump off the board, she had to hold on longer. But this could have gone much, much worse. Sixes, 49 points, a total of 93 points for her after 2 dives. Helle Tuxen now. Helle is showing us the same dive as Elna before her. So for right now, they did exact same dives. Strong hurdle, very, very high. And she could have done a better job lining it up. And she came out of the tuck position. She does not square it very well, and it's not the perfect entry, slightly short, but the top part of it was incredibly high, very strong off the board. The entry, again, slightly short and a bit heavy with a lot of water coming out, but she seems happy. Big smile from her. Sevens, 57.40 points for Helle Tuxen. And now Madeleine Cucuz, she was in 8th place after the first round of dives, reverse 2.5 somersault tuck for the Swiss diver. And that was a good top, good first part of the dive. Again, probably not used to have such a high and fast somersault. Again, and once again, she jumps to the side quite a bit and probably not ready to kick fast and stop that rotation. See the reaction of Pavel Rosenberg, her coach. Pavel was a bronze medalist at World Championship in 2011 in Shanghai, but on the 1 meter event. Great diver. And now up on the 3 meter springboard, there's Lena Enschel. Second place for her, it's not second place, but second in the rankings after the first dive. It's forward 3.5 somersault pike now. Nice hurdle. Oh, beautiful top part of the dive. Up until the takeoff, she was in perfect shape. She moves her shoulders forward a little bit too much once she's jumping. That creates a bit of distance between her entry and the springboard. We see it here is not very close to the board and rolls a little bit over. That's why the scores drop a little bit from perfection. 60.45, still a good average so far for her. And Lena is in first at 126.45. Her teammate Saskia now. Forward 2.5 somersault full twist. Another good top, and also another not so well executed entry. We've seen a few throughout this competition so far. She has a very sharp pike position, and the twist is perfect, legs together, never loses control. But then when she approaches the water, when grabbing her hands, she lets the dive fall short instead of squeezing the pike position after the twist to get a perfect vertical line. So 6s for her, 54 points and a big smile. Saskia is at 100 points right now in 4th position. Emilia Nilsson-Garrett. Forward 3.5 somersault pike is the one dive that she missed in the morning, going way too far over. Let's see how she does here. Again, struggles with the hurdle a little bit. She is one of those divers that apparently seems to be liking the back and reverse somersaulting dives better than the forward and inwards. She does a very good job squeezing the pike position because she stepped back on the hurdle quite a bit, but then holds on to the pike position for too long. That causes the dive to go over. This is a mistake for her, for sure. If she wants to aim for a medal, she'll need to do much better in the next few rounds. And now Emilia is already in 3rd place at 115.60 points. 60 points, yes. Claire Cryan now, back 2.5 somersault, tuck position. Claire was 5th last year in Rome. She had a great event. Bad takeoff for her and way too short in the entry. She did very well in this dive in the morning, but here today, this afternoon, she ends up landing way too short. You see it here when she kicks, her legs just drop backwards. So the scores are very low for her today. 4s from the judges, just 33.60 points, and it's early in the competition, but this is a huge mistake. She wanted to aim for medals, but nothing is said and done until the very last dive. So let's keep on going with the competition. The Charney now, a forward 3.5 somersault pike for the British diver. Nicely done. Perfectly vertical. Not the cleanest entry possible, but definitely a good top. Very fast in the somersaulting. She spins extremely fast in the air. And perfectly vertical. So overall, a great job by the British diver. 7s from the judges. 3 judged that count, and 65.10 points for the journey, and she is in 2nd place, just 1 point behind Lena Enchil. A forward 2.5 somersault full twist for Michelle Aimberg. Michelle was in 6th at 61.50 after inward 2.5 somersault pike. She needs a 7.5 to be in 1st after this dive. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful dive. Very high and perfect distance from the board. I like the twisting part of it. You see it here. Just step back on the hurdle a little bit, but still goes very high and grabs her hand for a good lineup. And she does get the 7.5 that she needed to get ahead of everyone. So a total of 66 points for her and 127.10. She's just 1 point ahead of Lena and 2 in front of the Jarni. Chiara Pelacani now. Chiara Pelacani from Rome, a forward 2.5 somersault full twist. The same dive as Michelle before her. Ooh, beautiful, very, very high. Not as close to the board as Michelle. We'll see it from the slow motion. She moves her shoulders forward before taking off, but perfectly executed, very fast in the air, spinning and twisting. The entry is not perfect. It's good and perfectly vertical. Not the cleanest one we've seen today, but 7.5, especially because she was incredibly high up in the air. 7.5, 67.50, 130.50 total points after 2 rounds of dives for the Italian diver, and she is in 1st right now. Now Grace Reed, back to 2.5 somersault pike. 54 points for her this morning. She will want more than that. With 7s, she's in the lead. And she will get those 7s with this dive. Very well executed. Especially the second part of the dive when she lined up and reached back with her hands to line up. She gets a very good entry. Her knees are slightly bent in the pike position. But she does a great job with the lineup. And she gets the 7s that she wanted and needed to get ahead of everyone, and she's in 1st. No emotion showed by Grace after this very good dive. She's very focused. 133.50 points for Grace in 1st. Chiara Pelacani is at 130.50 and Michelle Emberg at 127.50. Very, very close together. Just 8 points between the leader and the 5th place. The diver in 5th place, the 2 British divers. Let's go on with the third round of dives. Rocio Velasquez reverse 2.5 somersault pike for her. She did miss this dive in the morning. Did not do a good job with it. It was her lowest scoring dive. And again, over rotates. It was a good top, very high and incredibly fast. Spinning, she jumps. We can see here how far to the left she ended up jumping. Does not grab her hands. Seems like when she spins, doesn't understand very well how high and how fast she's going. So it's just not uncertain come out. That's how we call it. Not certain where she is, and that lets. That's all. The coach, Arturo Miranda, her coach, was telling her she should have came out earlier and stronger with the legs. But unfortunately, she doesn't do that and goes over. So Rocio is now at 157.95 points, the 39-point dive. Let's move on to see the third dive of Elna Widerstrom, back 2.5 somersault pike. Ooh, very short dive. Not very well executed. It is her first final, individual final at European Championship for this young Swedish diver, and we see it here. Probably a lot of emotions. Not as well as she did this morning. Actually, exactly the same score as this morning, 42. I would have gone probably lower with the score because she was way too arch getting in the water, but as I said earlier today, the judges know definitely more than me, and that then means that was the right score for her. 4.5s, and Elna with 42 points gets all the way up to 135.55 now. And we have Ella Tuxen forward 2.5 somersault twist. Loses control of the feet while twisting. We saw that easily in the live shot of the dive. You can see it also in slow motion here. Very strong off the board, but here she loses control of feet, gets them back together to get in the water. It's a clean entry, probably just too far away from the springboard. Saw her getting in the water past all the seats of the judges. So a little bit too far away. With the same entry and the same dive, but just a meter closer, would have gone 7.5 and 8s for sure. So LA with the 6.5s, 58.50 points, 169.90 is in first place right now. And now Madeleine Cocuz, forward 2.5 somersault full twist. A good job with this dive. It's not bad, technically off the board and in the air. The one thing that happened though is she did not stay tight with her abs while getting in the water right here. So she arched her back and did not get a great entry. I have not seen her grab her hands once in the lineups today. And that is one thing she might want to start working on, because all her dives, with just that little detail changed, would improve by a lot. Just because it changes completely the entry, the quality of the entry in the water. Now Lena Enschel, she was in 4th place before this dive, and she's going to show us a back 2.5 somersault pike. For Lena, 52 points this morning on this dive. Ooh, it was a very slow start of the somersault. Did not pick up much speed while spinning in the air. Probably what went through her head was, since I'm slow, I gotta hold on to the pike position longer. When she comes out, also arches very far back. With her back and the arms, she reaches all the way back, and probably too much. 6s from the judges, 54 points. And Lena gets in first place right now, ahead of everyone else so far. Her teammate, Saskia, forward 3.5 somersault pike for the German diver. No, this is another mistake for her. She struggled with a hurdle. Did not get the good rhythm she wanted. The feet placement on the board was good, but just off rhythm, she held on to the pike position way too long and did not grab her hands entering the water way too far over. 4.5 from the judges, 40.30. Next up is Emilia Nilsson Garip. Reverse 2.5 somersault pike for the Swedish diver. Toes are over the end. An amazing job with this dive. This is very beautiful, a very beautiful dive. A very beautiful dive. She was over the end. She didn't care about that. Still jumped as high as possible. And especially the lineup is perfect. As I said in the round before, I am sure this diver enjoys these kind of backward and reverse rotations. She understands perfectly where she is, and a very good dive. 72 points for her. She jumps ahead of everyone at 187.60 points. Amazing job with this dive for the Swedish diver. And now we have Claire Cryan on the board. A forward 3.5 somersault pike for the Irish diver. Good job. The hurdle was very strong. She had a very high hurdle jump, but then when she landed on the water, it seemed like probably she was losing balance, so she tilted her upper body quite too far forward. That creates a lot of distance between her and the springboard. The rest of the dive is nearly perfect, but that distance drops her scores a little bit. So 6.5s and 7s. 62 points for the Irish diver, who gets up to 158.60 in 4th place. And now the journey, Bent Ashmail, back 2.5 somersault pike for the British diver. Good job, especially on the lineup. The entry is very clean, slightly over with her legs. The distance, there is quite a lot of distance though on the takeoff. Her hips and shoulders shift backwards while circling her arms. Probably a few centimeters too far away from the board. She could have taken it closer, but 7s, this is definitely a good job considering it's a backward rotation. 7s and 7.5, 64.50. She's at 189.60 points, which is not bad at all. In 2nd place. And now Michelle Aimberg, forward 3.5 somersault pike. Once again, Michelle takes all the time possible to focus, and here she is, ready to go. Ooh, nice dive, a very nice dive. Even though once again she steps back on the hurdle a little bit, she does not get all the way to the end of the board. We see it here, her feet are a little bit inside. The only thing about this dive is not very sharp. The way she grabs her hands, never places her arms out from the pike position. We see it here, right away to the hands. So that makes the dive length slightly short, but it's overall a very, very good dive. 68.20 points on this dive, 195.70, and she's in 1st right now. Chiara Pellacani now, same dive for the Italian diver. Beautiful, beautiful dive. I would say compared to the one we saw before by Michelle, not as close, but the rhythm on the board is perfect, and she does a good job. Also, Chiara goes and grabs at her hands right away. She probably felt like she didn't have enough time to move them out. So this dive ends up being slightly short and heavy, not a perfect entry, but overall a good dive for the Italian diver, 60.45 for her. 190.95, 5 points behind Michelle Heimberg, and 1 ahead of the Jarden Ben Hashmail. The leader of the competition so far, reverse 2.5 somersault pike for Grace Reed. 55 points for her this morning. And a good dive. I gotta say, I've seen it in practice before the competition. I've seen her doing this dive. I was watching the practice, and she did a dive that would have gone for 9s here in this final, because it was nearly perfect. This one is not as good, but still a solid dive, slightly short. Her knees are still bent in the air while spinning. She could have done a bit better, but pretty much the same score as this morning. And yeah, 6.5 from the judges, 189 points for her. She is in 4th place right now behind her teammate. So here we have the rankings. Michelle Heimberg in first, 195.70. Chiara Pelacani in second, 190.95. Darjaren Ben Hashmail, 189.60. But it is still a very close competition. Especially for the medals, there are 4 divers within 15 points. Very good, exciting competition once again in the diving arena of Rzeszów, Poland. Next up for the beginning of the 4th round of dives is Rocio Velasquez with a back 2.5 somersault tuck, 2.8 degree of difficulty. Rocio was in 9th place before this dive. And a good job by the Spanish diver with her back 2.5 somersault tuck, considering especially that it seemed like she did not get very well on the back and reverse somersaulting dives. She did not get exactly where she was. Here we saw exactly the time where she spotted the springboard and kicked towards the springboard to line the back 2.5 somersault. And big smile for her. Good job, 6.5, 54.60, 212 points for the Spanish diver. And now Elna, reverse 2.5 somersault pike. This dive gave her 48 points this morning. Mistake on the hurdle. She was leaning way too far back on the drive step, and she'll have to retake this dive. So there will be a deduction of 2 points from every single judge. And for a dive that has a 3.0 degree of difficulty, that means exactly 18 points less in the total. Now a good top, but way over the end. Why did I say that is 18 points less in the totals? Because 2 points from each judge. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, and you gotta multiply those 6 points deducted because of the penalty by 3.0. 6 times 3 is 18, and that's why I said that. Just to do quickly the math and explain you why I said it. But so the corrected scores after the penalty are 1.5s and 2s. So she would have gotten 3.5s and 4s, but after the deduction, a total of 1350, and this is very big mistake for the Swedish diver and her first experience in a final at Europeans. She's just 19, though very, very young. We'll see more of her in the future on this event. Reverse to now somersault pike also for Elle Tuxen, who struggled a little bit on the hurdle. Her toes were completely over the end. She still managed to get a good takeoff, squeezed her pike position. I gotta say, with bent knees though, you'll see it from this corner, her knees are completely bent in the air. Judges will deduct a few points. No penalty for that, but a deduction for sure. And 54 points for Elle on this dive, 223.90 total. On the board, Madeleine now for a forward 3.5 somersault pike. 3.1 degree of difficulty on this dive. She was ranked 10th after the third round of dives. Another good top for the Swiss diver. And again, the entry, just like the previous dive, the forward 2.5 somersault full twist, when she gets in the water, she does not keep her abs tight and is again arched. Is the usual mistake we've seen from her throughout the day in the entries, the forward entries. She always lets her back gets this kind of arch, and so it's not perfectly clean. But sixes, 55.80 points for Madeleine. Lena Enschel now. Reverse 2.5 somersault pike. She was in 6th place, and she wants very high scores in order to get back on track for the medals. And a very good, very high jump. This dive goes very, very high off the springboard. We see it here. Way above 5 meters. And nice lineup, slightly over. Could have done better here when reaching back. She pulls a little bit too far back with all shoulders and hands. Makes the dive slightly over. If not, the perfect verticality there would have been straight 8s and maybe more 7s from the judges. 243.45, and she's in first right now. Saskia now on the board, same dive for her. She was in 11th. And a beautiful reverse 2.5 somersault by Saskia. All it was missing was a clean entry. Other than that, it's technically very well executed. Very nice off the board. A perfect understanding of the situation while somersaulting. You see it here. She's moving her head and with the eyes spotting the water twice. And on the come out, perfectly vertical. 7s from the judges. Her best dive of the day, 63 points for Saskia. And now we have Emilia Nilsson Gareb. She was in 5th place. She was the last ranked divers of the bunch of divers in the top 5 places, very close to one from the other. Forward 2.5 somersault full twist, very well executed. I like how she kept the perfect distance from the board, going very high and close enough to the board. Nice twist, legs are always together, and a quite clean entry. A high scoring dive again for the Swedish diver. 7.5s and 8s for her. She seems happy with that. She should be. 69 points. And now Emilia is at 256 total points. Next up, Claire Cryan, reverse 2.5 somersault, tuck position, 2.8 degree of difficulty. Oh, another diver that rocks on the springboard. It has happened already. This is the 4th time this week that this has happened. We've seen it by the Swedish diver before, and the two Italians did it yesterday. Giovanni Tocci in the morning in prelims and Lorenzo Marsaglia in the afternoon in the final. It's not common. Competition divers have the tendency of always try and go for it in order not to have a penalty. And she does a great job with her retake of the dive. A very good job with it. She has very high jump. The tuck position is perfect and sharp and nice, elegant. The entry is clean, completely vertical. But unfortunately for her, instead of getting 7.5s and 7s, the scores is going to be, yeah, exactly. It would have been 6.5, 7. This goes down to 4.5, 5s. So 39.20 points for Claire, who has to say bye to a chance to get a medal for sure now. The Jarne now on the board. Same dive, but in a pike position. Jarne was in 3rd place before this dive. Let's see how she manages her hurdle and takeoff. And she did a great job with the hurdle and takeoff. Amazing dive amazing jump off the springboard, but then in the last part of the dive, she kept on reaching backwards. We'll see it here. 1 somersault, 2 somersault. When she comes out, she grabs her hands and pulls way too far back. Seemed like she thought that she didn't have room to line up vertical, and instead she just flies over past the vertical line. 4.5s for her, 40.50, and she ends up at 230 points behind Lena Enchil. Michelle Emberg now, the leader of the competition so far. She has a backwards 2.5 somersault pike, 66 points for her. This morning, this was her best dive. Good dive. Good dive, not a perfect lineup though. The takeoff was well executed. Strong off the board. Nice, very nice pike position. I like how she goes and puts her arms all the way around her legs. Unfortunately for her, you see it here, the lineup is slightly short. With a better lineup, this could have gone 8.5s, 8s. She loses a couple of points there because of that. 63 total points. She's in 1st place at 258, just 2 points ahead of Emilia Nilsson-Garip. Very tight competition between these two. Now Chiara Pellicani, reverse 2.5 somersault pike, 3.0 degree of difficulty. Oh, beautiful dive by the Italian. Perfect rhythm. We see Tommaso Marconi cheering for her coach, excited about the execution of this reverse 2.5 somersault pike. Very high. She finishes the 2nd somersault above 3 meters, and then a nice backward lineup. Very sharp in the entry. A beautiful dive by the Italian. 7.5s for her. She gets up at 258 points, right in between Michelle Emberg and Emilia Nilsson-Garip. Amazing job. This is another amazing final that will be decided at the very last dive. We have a race read now, forward 3.5 somersault pike for the British diver. Wow. Did you see that? Her body was completely twisted to the right side of the board. You see it here on the corner, almost facing the judges. She squeezes the pike position and does a great job lining that up and getting as clean as possible in the water. But this is a huge mistake for the British diver. I am amazed how strong she is and how she has been able to still manage to not fall off the board. But 5.5s and 5s put her way behind the leaders at 237 points. And we have the rankings here. The top 3 divers are within 2 points. Lena is 13 points behind 3rd place. and the others go on after her. But let me tell you, another exciting final here in Rzeszów. 3 divers in 2 points. And I'm checking what dives they're going to compete. Chiara Pelacani will have an inward 2.5 somersault pike. Michelle Emberg a reverse 2.5 somersault pike. And Emilia Nilsson Garib also the inward 2.5 somersault pike. All the divers have a 3.0 degree of difficulty. But let's watch Rocio Velasquez now with her forward 2.5 somersault full twist. Oh, nicely done. Very clean in the entry. We see Arturo Miranda and Domenico Rinaldi cheering. Very good job by Rocio on this dive. She did not grab her hands, but still managed to get a very clean entry. Very good job by the Spanish diver at her first final in this event. Did not make the final last year, but did a great job today here in Rzeszów. And yeah, they seem very excited and happy. Next up, Elna Widerström from Sweden. Same dive for her. Forward 2.5 somersault full twist. And a very slow start of the dive. She stepped back on the hurdle. Probably still a bit shocked after the previous dive where she balked and had to repeat the hurdle. Now she barely gets with her hands first in the water. Another big miss for her. Not the afternoon she wanted. 25 points in this dive, 174 total for the Swedish diver. Elle Tuxen now. Elle was in 7th place before this dive. She closes her competition with a back 2.5 somersault tuck. And will need sixes from the judges to get ahead of Rocio Velasquez. And she will get that score to get the lead at the moment, at least. Does a very good job jumping off the board very high. Tuck position is good. She could have pointed her feet better, but a clean entry, perfectly vertical, very, very well executed. She will get high scores, but the degree of difficulty is just 2.8, so the total score gets up to 64. Yeah, 7.5, 7, 61, 60 on this dive. 258, and she's in the lead right now. Madeline Coco now back to an somersault pike, same dive as Elle before her, but in a pike position. She keeps her arms way back, behind her back on the takeoff. We see it here. And then slightly moves them forward. Yeah. A good dive. She's fast enough to get all the way vertical, but we saw it. We will see it from the side camera. Also, maybe here she twisted a little bit getting the water. Her legs split, and the judges might have noticed that. You see it here. Twisted a little bit at the end, losing control of the feet, so the entry is also quite heavy. Seem happy though. Total points of 249.70. Lena Enschel now 4th place, and even though Lena was 13 points behind Emilia, that was in 13 and 15 points from the lead, with a great dive and maybe mistake in front of her, she could still get on the podium. Forward 2.5 somersault full twist, and does a good job with it. She did what she needed to do. Probably just could have gotten a better entry in the water. Could have been cleaner. Too bad for the mistake on the forward 3.5 somersault, and especially in the back 2.5 somersault pike, where she got only 6s. If not, she would have been for sure on the podium today. Other than that, she did a great job today. 304.95 for the German. Saskia Ottinghaus now. So I was checking. Lena set the bar for the lead right now at 304.95. And we already know Saskia has no chance, not even with straight tens. She mathematically cannot get to the lead. And she had quite too many mistakes throughout this competition, Saskia, who was sitting in 9th place before this dive. But finishes her final with a good back 2.5 somersault pike. Very nice, especially in the entry. Probably a bit too distant from the board, but the entry is very clean. 6s from the judges for Saskia Ottinghaus, and what we see 257.80 points is the total for her. And now we have the first of the 3 divers fighting and competing for a gold medal here at the European, and also I want to remind you, an automatic spot for their nation at the Olympic Games of next year. 3.0 degree of difficulty for her. Oh, beautiful takeoff. Just a bit short in the entry. She might lose a couple of points there. The judges might deduct half a point just because we see it here. She leaves the legs a tiny bit short. You see it here perfectly. When lining up, she's not completely vertical and splashes short a little bit. And she knows, her face tells us that she understands that right away. 6.5, 7, 3:16.60 is the new bar for gold. She gets ahead of Lena by 12 points. And now Claire Cryan on the board. Claire is finishing her final with an inward 2.5 somersault tuck. And does an amazing job with this dive. Very good. Very good job by the Irish diver, especially in the lineup. She does a good job. It's very clean. 7th, and she closes at 2:54.50. Now from Great Britain, Dujardin Ben Hashmail. She closes her final with an inward 2.5 somersault pike. 3.0 degree of difficulty. Nice, especially the entry is very good. Very, very clean, a perfect rip entry. Strong off the board, perfect rotation. Probably just on the side a little bit, but from the judges' seats, they probably did not see that. She closes with a very strong execution in this dive. Not bad at all. She closes at 293.10. And now Michelle Hamburg, who needs 58.50 points, so an average of 6.5 on her front, on her reverse 2.5 somersault pike. All focused and ready to go. Oh, What a top! Too bad. And Pavel Rosenberg knows exactly that this might cost her the gold medal, because this top was incredibly high, but when on the come out here, she just lets her legs go too far over. Wow, look at this here. Perfect rotation, very high, and way too far over. Beatrix knows, her coach knows exactly. Too bad. 5.5, and actually Michelle is also behind Emilia Nilsson-Garib with 306 points. She's in third. Let's see what Chiara Pellacani will do now. Chiara needs 6.5 to get in front of Emilia Nilsson-Garib. Inward 2.5 somersault pike with a chance to be back-to-back European champion, the Italian diver from Rome. And here we have back-to-back European champion, Chiara Pellacani from Italy. She nails her inward 2.5 somersault pike. And this is gonna score high. What a beautiful execution. Very fast while spinning. Perfect pike position and perfectly vertical. Sevens from the judges. We see the Italian crowd cheering for Chiara, and a big hug with her coach Tommaso Marconi. And Chiara Pellacani with 321, and Domenico Rinaldi, her former coach that now is coaching Spain. A big hug with him as well. And last dive for Grace Reed, inward 2.5 somersault pike. Grace with 8 can still get on the podium. Beautiful dive. Beautiful dive. Let's see what the judges think, because also with this, in this competition, the last dive might decide the medals. After Michelle's mistake, Grace, I don't know if he's 8, but he's definitely close to that. And from the face of Grace, it is not 8. 7s from the judges, 298. A disappointed Grace Reed ends up in 5th place. But wow, another great final here in Rzeszów. This was very exciting once again. But Chiara Pellacani from Italy, she takes home a 2nd gold medal in this event after last year in Rome. Everyone is there hugging her. What a great job. We see her hugging with Adrian from Spain. They live together in Louisiana. They go to college together. They're great friends, and everyone there hugging. Well, the final rankings now. We see him on screen. We should see him on screen in a couple of seconds. Here they are. Chiara Pellacani from Italy in first, 321.45 points. Emilia Nilsson-Garib, 316.60. Michelle Heimberg, 306.70, are the top ranked diver in this women's 3-meter springboard final in Rzeszów, Poland, at 3rd European Games of Krakow Malopolska 2023. In a few minutes, the medal ceremony with the 3 top ranked divers of this final. I'll be right back in a bit. In 3rd place, bronze medalist from Switzerland, Michelle Heimberg, with a total score of 306.70 points. Great competition by Michelle, who was leading throughout the competition, but fell short in the last dive. Fortunately for her, after a great average of all dives above 60 points, only 48 points on the last dive, put her down in the rankings, stepping down from 1st place to 3rd place in the last round only. And with the silver medalist with a total score of 316.60 from Sweden, Emilia Nilsson-Garib. First medal at individual 3-meter event for the Swedish diver in her career. Great competition. Also, she had a slight mistake in the second round of dives. 49 points on the forward 3.5 somersault pike. Other than that, a nearly perfect competition with all dives above 60 points, and even one dive reverse somersault 2.5. Reverse 2.5 somersault pike, 72 points with straight 8s for her on that dive. And now the winner and back-to-back European champion from Italy with a total score of 321.45 points, Chiara Pellacani from Rome, Italy. Third medal for Chiara here in Rzeszów. Second gold medal. She already took home two gold medals. This is the second one, and a silver in the team event on the first day of diving here in Rzeszów. Her competition was very consistent, always between 60 and 67 points, solid. All scores around 7s and 7.5s, a couple of 6.5s, but overall an amazing competition for her, 321.45 points. And now it's time for the Italian national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, for today, that is all from the diving pool of Rzeszów, from the diving arena. A big hug for the 3 young ladies that delighted us with some great diving tonight here in the pool.